This session is what is creative writing? Many of you have written all sorts of kinds of documents in the last 10, 20, 30 years of your life. Whether it was an essay in 10th, 11th grade, whether it was a letter, whether it was a speech, whether it was some argument that you had to write for a briefing. There's a lot of different things that we write. Creative writing is the side that's a little bit more story-oriented. We're going to tell a story. I want to tell you about so-and-so. What happened to them? This, that, and the other. That's creative writing. And people sometimes wonder, well, how does creative writing have any importance in my life if I'm a pastor? If I'm a businessman? Why creative writing? Why take it? Why know how to do it? Who cares about poetry? And what I'm here to tell you is that there's actually quite a bit of merit in this creative writing. The biggest thing is this. You have two sides of your brain. The left side of your brain is very active in the very critical thinking, analysis side of your brain. It's very logical, but the right side of your brain is artistic, and it sometimes thinks outside of the box. In fact, most time it's thinking outside of the box, and it thinks in colors, and it thinks in images, and not always in words. The left side of your brain is very word-oriented, and the right side of your brain is very image-oriented. The two of them together can come up with some of the best solutions to problems. So those of you that are pastors or businessmen, you're going to encounter problems, and being able to have a right side of your brain that's somewhat developed is going to help with that. The hard part becomes, how do I develop that right side of my brain? And the only way to do it is with creativity. So you can take an art class, you can do sculpting, you can do some painting, and that begins to get some of the creative energy flowing. But another one is creative writing, because you work with the words. So you have the left side of your brain that's words and the right side of your brain now that's creative, and I've got to pull them together to do creative writing. Very good exercise for your brain. In this course, you're going to be doing some creative brain bursts, we call them. In your journal entries, remember we talked about journal portfolio? In your journal entries, that's your place to begin to get some of the right side of your brain energy going on random creative things. That's going to in turn help when you have to write your portfolio pieces. That still needs to be right brain, but now all of a sudden we're going to bring in a little of the left brain when we're doing some of our analysis of our creative pieces. Creative writing really has some merit in where you go from here. So I want to give you some examples of what other students have talked to me about after leaving creative writing, how this has worked for them. Some are working through their own personal emotional situations. We had one individual who was the mother of a girl who tried to commit suicide. And as the mom, there was a whole lot of emotions that she was working with. And so the pieces that she wrote were efforts to work through those emotions so that she could have a healthier relationship with her daughter, so she could have a healthier relationship with her spouse, and so eventually she could help other moms. And she said that doing this work was, this kind of creative writing was very helpful. I had someone who was talking to me about how this helped them think of different perspectives of people they worked with, or family members and situations they'd been through as they took their stories and tried to represent them in either creative nonfiction or even short story. There's a number of veterans in these courses, and they've actually talked about how some of the events and things that happened to them in the recent past, last 4 or 5 years overseas, that being able to write creatively about these experiences has helped them work through some of their own emotional trauma with them. Others have been, this has been celebration. I wanted to celebrate something that happened with my family, and so I wrote something creative to share, a poem to share with my daughters. And there was one gal who had this amazing nursing experience with this one little girl that came in, and she said there was just no way to capture what that experience was like without putting it in a creative piece. And that piece she actually was able to share with other nurses and helping to talk to them about what it's like to encounter an amazing patient that comes in. So creative writing has actually found its voice and found some real rooting for a lot of individuals outside of the creative industry. And so I want to encourage all of you to be thinking about, as you go through this course, how can there be some personal or professional ways that this creative writing can really help me work through things or even get better at my own job. Okay? Talk to you soon.